Hello, everybody. This is Anne-Sophie Dumetz here, founder of She's a Changemaker, and I am here with Justin Livingston, a Visionary Business Architect. Hey, Justin! Thanks for being here with us. So I'm the founder of She's a Changemaker, and we work with visionary women leaders and help them leap into their own level of spotlight, feeling confident and clear about who they are. And today we're here to talk about 5 traps that end up, stalling visionary women, keeping them stuck often at the 6-figure level of impact and income, and how to leap right past them. So Justin, yes, he's not a woman change maker, but he supports a ton of change makers. I'm not going to make you dress and drag, Justin. Don't worry.
I'm a change maker for women, though.
Yes.
The opposite.
Yes. You're a maker of change. Actually, you're a maker of change makers. So here, just 2 super quick housekeeping on how this is going to go. We only have about 20 minutes of interview time with Justin. So we're going to focus on content right away. And, I want to welcome everybody who's going to be here live or on the replay. I know many of you, will probably be here on the replay from Justin's community, my community, and anybody else who just happened to be here. So thank you so much for being here. Post your questions down below. If we have time, we're going to try to take the questions during the live stream, but we're going to focus on giving you as much awesome content as possible right from the get-go. I'm going to stay on after the 20-minute mark to answer any questions, but without further ado, let's make the most of the time that we have and talk about some of these traps that can really feel like that invisible ceiling that happens within our transformational leadership industry. Yeah. So, Justin, your business partner, Callan, I've seen her tear up and cry so many times when thinking about the gratitude she has for you being in her life. And I wonder if, you can start by telling us about some of the stuff you've seen supporting so many women change makers all at the same time that seem to be common that help them move forward in the end.
Yeah, it's interesting, when you and I were talking about doing this and you were saying, because your audience is all women, and I said, well, you know what, mine too, even though it's not really intentional. Not that I do have some men in my community, but it's more than 80% women. It's amazing. And my team's almost all women. It's really, I'm starting to think maybe I have an issue with men. Maybe I better look into that. I'm not sure, but I'd love to cover these 5 issues that you're referring to. And when I talk about them, they're each going to be structural in nature. And if that doesn't make total sense right now, it will when I explain what they are. And they coincide with what I refer to as the 5 essential elements of a multi-million-dollar transformation business. And I talk about multi-millions and stuff like that, are going from 6 figures to multi-millions. And the reason that I talk that way is because it's the easiest to explain like what it is that we're up to. But really it's about scaling and growing significantly a transformation business. And any individual can have their own desire or preference for wanting to do that. Can really boil down to one or more of 3 reasons for wanting to grow and scale. One is to significantly increase their revenues and their profits. In other words, to make a lot more money, right? Which is what I'm speaking to with regards to the multi-million. Totally legitimate. The second one that's really common is that people strive for and desire to have, yearn for a global impact. Like there's a part of them, typically I'm assuming, Anne-Sophie, for you, most of the people that you're talking with will be people that there's a certain part of humanity or a piece of the world that they want to change for the better, and that's what they're about. And so that comes down to scaling their impact. Yeah. And then there's a third type of person. Again, sometimes people are all 3 or a combination of these. But the third type of scaling is to free up more and more of your own personal time to actually focus on the activities that you love doing. That could be within your business, or it could even be outside of your business. So we break it down to those 3 things. We call them income, impact, and inspiration is how we refer to it. And so you may desire to scale 1 or 2 or all 3 of those things. I'm actually, just a quick heads up here, I'm in a hotel room right now, it might be obvious. I'm in a place called Durango, Colorado. I'm here for a meeting that starts tomorrow morning. And anyway, the reason I'm saying that is because I can hear some people outside my hotel room door talking. If you can hear that, I apologize. But
I can't right now, but I think
okay,
we're good. But
so we'll get into these 5 distinctions, like the 5 essential elements of scaling up into the multi-millions, or for scaling for those 3 reasons. But before we get into them, because I'm saying that these are the 5 kind of structural things you have to have in place. But what comes before that, in my opinion, is a mindset. And of course, mindset is critically important, and there's mindset laden all through all of this stuff. But one of the things that I think people don't think about at the 6-figure level specifically, or even before that, is the difference between what I call a practice, or being a practitioner, and a business, or being a business owner. And a lot of people, how it typically shows up, especially at the 6-figure level, is that they've reached a certain amount of success that they're proud of and happy about, and they should be. You know, they've accomplished something, and they're making a difference, and they've achieved something that is quite rare relatively. But what doesn't or hasn't dawned on them is the fact that they actually are running a very successful practice. And so let me define what that is. And it's not necessarily to say it's bad. If this is what you want, then that's what you should have, right? A lot of people, this is what they actually want. It's just about that awareness. So a practice is when, if you're the business owner, you're running a practice if you're the person that does one or both of these things. One, you drive all of the key business growth. So you're a key part of the marketing and the selling of what it is that you offer. And then secondly, you're the one that you're the primary delivery mechanism of what it is that you offer.
yeah,
So if you're offering live events and you're the one who's leading the live events all the time, well, that you're running a very successful practice. If you're the one that's doing the coaching or the mentoring or producing all the videos and running the podcast or whatever it is that you're up to, if you're the one doing those things, then that's a practice, not a business. So what I'll be talking about here is the elements that you need to transition from a successful practice to a successful business. That's more the reality of what it is, as opposed to just 6 figures to multi-millions, which I say just because it's more catchy.
With a quick summary around one of the issues that comes up a lot for change makers around identity. And I think people start with that identity of, I'm going to grow up to change the world and have that level of impact. But the who they see themselves being is that practitioner. It's not the business owner. And that ends up being the stalling point where they're walking in somebody in the wrong shoes, because they no longer get to, do what you love and make an impact. So
Totally.
That's like an invisible trap. And I think what I've learned from you and seeing you support transformational business leaders, that you have to kind of accept, like, okay, I made this thinking error maybe in the beginning, shift your mindset, and here are the actual actions that need to happen to actually scale up.
Yeah. So the first is just decide, like it's a choice really. If you want to stay in the practice and run a successful practice, then that's what you should do. But if you don't, well then, what we'll be discussing for the rest of this call will be extremely relevant. And like you're totally right about that invisible ceiling or whatever, because the reality is, people give language to the fact that they want to change the world, and what they're either saying literally or implying is that what they're up to is massive. Like they're up, and they'll pay language or give language that says something like that they have a message that's bigger than them. Okay, well, if that's true, you can't allow that to actually come to fruition in the world. Like that can't manifest in a practice. Because if you're running a practice,
you can't hoard it within just what you do on your own kind of thing.
Exactly. By definition, you can't, in a practice, things can only get as big as you by definition. So it's a conversation I think that not many people have, at least not in the beginning of their business. So that's the primary mindset to start with. And then, so once you've made that decision, right, assuming you're going to go one way or the other, you want to practice or business. Well, if you want to go in the area of business, well then how you get from 0 to 6 figures as an example, well, as it turns out, that's not the same course of action to get from there to your successful business or your multi-million-dollar enterprise. So to start with, in the beginning, my video might be lagging here.
Yeah, I see that, but your sound's actually good, so let's keep going.
Well, I apologize if I'm not sure how I can fix that. Anyway.
Yeah, it's okay. Like, we can hear you, so
Okay.
you might just be in, like, funny freeze mode for a bit.
I wonder if I put stop camera and start camera, if it'll fix.
Sure. Okay, so just everybody, Justin's just fixing his tech. He's going to come back. I think he actually just jumped himself up by accident, so he's just going to come back here in a second. We're going to go through our content.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on here. Apologize.
Okay. I'm going to still give you half the screen in case your camera shows up here. So.
Why is it doing that? Huh.
Yeah, and unfortunately I can't.
Maybe if anyway, I'm just going to keep going and try to fix it as I'm talking.
Sure. So
there's these from 6 figures up into the or from 0 to 6 figures. It's all about client acquisition. It's all about what can you do to get clients in the door. Like, you have to you don't have to necessarily master, but you have to become proficient in at least one, if not a couple of ways of getting clients in the door. Like, you got to be doing speaking engagements well, or you've got to be good at webinars, or you've got to be good at doing strategy sessions. Different areas you can do.
Yeah, it's like the main with selling and serving and just showing up and doing it.
Yeah. But there's a very obvious ceiling to that. You can't, and it doesn't get to it gets to a point where you can't, if you do twice as much of that, it doesn't get you twice as much result. Like, in other words, you can't scale that way. I've switched my camera here and it seems to be freezing too. So anyway, I'll just keep going. I apologize for that. I'm not sure what to do.
That's okay. At least the audio's good. That's what we care about. So let's, yeah.
Okay. So growth beyond there comes down really to 5 issues. And these are the 5 mistakes that I see people making. And of course, this is directly related to the 5 components that I teach in my LEAP program, and which is about helping 6-figure earners go up into the multi-millions. So the first is that at the 6-figure level, the mistake that most people are making is that when it comes to their organization, like, for starters, you got to understand that anything significant that you're doing in the world, it's a team effort. Like, none of us are here to completely change the world on our own. Even if it might look that way, sometimes even it might look like there's this idea of an overnight success. It's not actually a reality. There's always a team effort behind anything that's significant. So in other words, whatever it is that you're looking to do, you're not going to do it alone. You got to have a team of people. And what holds people back is that when they start to bring on people, if they do, some people have, fears around it or whatever. But when they do, they build a team that can ideally support what they currently have. And then they wonder why they can't grow from there. Well, it's like if you imagine if you lived in a house and you had a creek running through your front yard. So you build a little bridge into your driveway, and you build it so it just perfectly supports your Toyota Corolla or whatever. Well, when you start having children and you decide you want to get a minivan, now what? If you try to drive the minivan over that same bridge, the bridge is going to break. Yeah,
or it's like thinking, okay, I know how to make one bread, so I'm having only enough ingredients for that one bread, and then, suddenly 15 people come over, and you're like, what the hell? What do I do now? So
exactly. So anyway, so it's not, you can't, it's unsustainable. So then what happens is inevitably is when someone tries to grow their business, if their organizational structure can't handle the stress of the growth, by definition, it's the owner. It's the face of the company that takes on that stress and anxiety. And that's why people burn out. So,
And you've had clients who come to you burnt out. They have like great income, great impact in theory, but they're burnt out.
Completely burnt out. And it's because, well, there's a number of reasons for it, but one of them is that they haven't created an organizational structure that can handle growth. So one of the things I do in my LEAP program is I walk people through how to design the organization of the company that they're building. It's like what their future vision is. You have to start building that structure now. If you know you're going to have a minivan in the future, build the bridge that will that will support the minivan now, because that makes the transition seamless once it is that you start having a family and make that purchase, right? So it really becomes about...
I was going to say, that reminds me of like the whole, when man decided to go to space, you know, it's like you didn't plan just, let's just go past the core outside of the earth beyond the blue sky. You had to think like, okay, how far can we go in this galaxy? Can we go to the moon? And what do we need to actually get there? And think beyond that and start to resource that way.
Exactly. And so really what it comes down to is having an intelligent, leveraged way of building your support team. That's a complete non-negotiable. And in my LEAP program, we actually start there. You know, these 5 structures that I'll explain, they're not necessarily linear, but this one has to come first. If you don't have this, you can't do the rest.
Yeah. Because
what I'm going to do is I'm going to just to be perfectly transparent, for someone who's like has like, let's say, a multi-6-figure business and they're at capacity right now, they're working really hard, long, hours in the day or the week or whatever. I'm going to share 5 structures that need to be built in your company, but who's going to build them?
Yeah.
It's not possible that you're going to be able to drop what you're doing and do this instead. Without an intelligent organization there, none of this stuff matters. So that's always the starting point.
I just want to give you a time check that we have about 3 minutes left of your scheduled time. So we can maybe give a quick overview of the rest.
I think we're going to go a little bit over due to this tech issue here, which I have no idea. Still, I'm totally frozen, right? So it's so weird.
Yeah, you're like, and this is okay, but I can hear you.
So okay, so the next is when it comes to the revenue model. So how it is that you acquire and keep your clients over time. You can't, like if you're doing webinars, every week or every month or,
I can't.
You can't, 5 or 10x that. So your revenue model has to be much more leveraged. And so the big thing that I like to share with people is to understand that there's different types of campaigns. Like there's different, and I break
your sound
down into 3 kinds.
Your sound just cut out a little bit, but yeah, you were saying there's different kinds of campaigns for the revenue, and you break it down into 3. Then I didn't hear.
Maybe should I just turn the camera off? Maybe
we can try. I just hope that the sound works. So hang tight, people. This is the magic of live TV. Sometimes you have technical glitches, but Justin's here, and we're just going to go through the 5 content. So we've gone through the first part is, to have a sense of who's going to be supporting you as you expand and scale and grow. And now we're talking about revenue model. If your marketing calendar and what you're doing is already tapped out, like how can you add more? Can you hear me, Justin? I'm not
sure. So you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So cut to the chase here. There's a few things that are critically important, but one of them is to be able to scale, you have to have what I call leading. You have to have ways of acquiring clients that don't involve any of your time, energy, and attention. Involved in the process. It's what some people refer to as evergreen campaigns. The reason why I don't just say the word evergreen is because people totally misunderstand that concept. Evergreen this, evergreen that. And it's not. It's because they are either hosting a webinar or they're doing sales calls or they're involved in some way, shape, or form. You can't be. You need to have at least that you're.
I can't hear you super well. You said you need to have at least. Sorry, everybody. Like, we're just having a little bit of sound technical issues, which can happen when we have live interviews. So we're talking about, when you're expanding into scaling, you need to have a revenue model that includes, marketing that's kind of usually known as evergreen. But then I kind of missed what Justin said. So what you want is to have a variety of different ways to be marketed. Marketing and bringing in your leads, and some of it includes you being live, but other ways is having marketing that actually created framework and structured for you. And that's part of what is going to be taught in the LEAP of how to do this, how to create this. And I'm actually putting a link now if you do want to check out the LEAP program, which is open for applications today and tomorrow. But so, there is the org chart part. Who is going to be on your team? Who is going to be supporting you as you expand and shift into a different kind of business model where you have leading and lagging, I think, with the other term that Justin was mentioning around the structures. So you're not just thinking about how you can go live and do, live webinar, live sales, live workshop stuff. You're actually creating structures that will bring you more freedom of time, but still allow you to grow and scale and make a bigger impact. Now, I know from having been in Justin and Callan's community for a long time that it was a massive shift for Justin and Callan when they incorporated having a webinar that helped them fill their live events. And that completely transformed their business. It was something where they, worked out the tweaks and started to create it. And then suddenly what happened is they got 70 registrations for their live events where they're hanging out on the beach or, having the life that they want. And so that is part of the expansion project of yourself and your business. So I'm just seeing if Justin is able to join me again. I'm hoping so. So, he is in a hotel in Colorado and sometimes the internet doesn't work so well. If you have any questions in the meantime that you want to bring up either now or that I can take up at the end, I'd be more than happy to do so. We are talking about how to leap past the 6-figure mark, not just in terms of financially, but also in terms of impact. My guess is if you're here, you're a change maker at heart, transformational leader, and you wanted to grow up to change the world in some kind of way, shape, or form, which means you want to have a global level of impact. And that means, you have to change your identity a little bit by bit, and learn to expand into that business role of being a transformational business leader. So I think Justin's coming back in now, and I'm just going to see, hey, Justin.
Hey.
I gave a quick summary of, how you incorporated a webinar in your business and started to get 70 leads the moment it went live. And we were talking a bit about those.
Well, we had, I think it was 72. Shoot, I forget what it was, but we brought in, it was like 220 paying clients into a $2,000 program in that year. Without anything, without touching anything. That was amazing. But anyway, that ideally what you want to do, from as far as a revenue model perspective goes, the easiest way to start growing your business is when you have your base operating costs handled on autopilot. If I could give words to what that does and how that feels and how it sets you up to be able to work on, really important projects in your business and in your growth. But even if I were to give it words, it wouldn't do it justice. I'm just speaking from my own experience because I had the intention and I put it in place, but then once it was actually a reality, it was just amazing how much easier things are.
It's that core revenue foundation that is going to meet your needs to pay your team for support and to allow growth.
Yeah, if to pay your team and your office rent or whatever, let's say that works out to like $15,000 a month, let's say. Well, if you're bringing in $15,000 a month without any of your personal time, energy, or attention, now you're you're cooking with gas, as they say. It just gets
totally.
so much easier. And
Yeah.
of course, we do so many things that aren't what I call leading strategies. We do lots of we do lots of events. We do online launches like I'm doing right now. We're going to start a podcast, which is what I call a lagging strategy. So it's not speaking ill of all the other ways. If all of those other ways are gravy, are producing excess cash flow into your business, you're playing by a different set of rules than everyone else out there, and it just makes growth so much easier. And so anyway,
that's impact, right? Like that the reason why your original dream like suddenly becomes possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the key mistakes I see, especially at the 6-figure level, this would be the third one, is metrics. Oh my goodness, it's fascinating to me. I find that once people get moving and they've got a successful thing going and they're doing 6 figures or multi-6 figures, typically those people, they know their number, they track their metrics. They've got their basic, they've got their bookkeeping. If you ask them their opt-in rate, they'll know what it is. Like they know their numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But damned if they know what to do with them.
And I think, haven't I heard you talk too, is that they'll look at one metric and then one metric and one metric, but we don't look at like the family of metrics. It's like, me looking at one child, and then making a family decision after that based on, not considering the whole.
Metrics in isolation, I call it. Yeah, it's like a perfect example is an opt-in page, right? So people would assume that if you have one page that's converting at 45%, so people are, and another one's converting at 55%, well, the one that's converting at 55% is the better page. But that's not necessarily true.
No.
Because you have to take into account what happens beyond that. I've had many campaigns where I actually shut down the channel where the opt-in rate is higher because it wasn't leading to as many sales. So now that's a very, kind of a simple example, but the key to growing and, to significant growth is not just tracking the metrics, it's being able to look at your numbers and being able to read the story that they're telling you, and then to make intelligent business decisions based on the facts.
And the thing is, this is a skill that you can totally learn to do. Once somebody shows you how to do it, you can master this.
Yeah, what I like to tell people that are coming into the leap, I say, look, there's one of two ways that you could go. Either I could teach you to be a numbers nerd like me, which is totally fine and awesome if that's what you want. If you don't, just get the gist of it, and then if you get confused, just ask me. Just let me take a peek and I'll tell you what the numbers mean. Either way, you get the same result.
Do you get people who are leaping to track the idea of tracking time? Because for a lot of people think about tracking money and time like it's a conflated thing. Is that one of the metrics you get people to track too, of how much investment of time goes into things, or is
fulfillment time? You know what? Not everyone does it, but I do. And so I teach people. Some people choose to do that. Some people don't. Definitely what's non-negotiable for me with my leapers is for them to track their profitability on a per program basis. Because some people, if they might even know, they look at their books at the end of the year and they would know that whatever their profit margin is or how profitable they are. But for all they know, they could have one or two of their offerings that are actually losing money, that they're spending more than they are. So you have to track it on a per program basis. So I teach people how to do that. I have it all templated. It's not that difficult. And so that's at the very least. I choose to do what you're saying, which is also to track and to value my time of fulfillment. So what is it? How much time am I personally investing in the delivery or whatever it is that I'm selling? And that's something that people don't think about.
No, and it's going to vary differently the first time, second time, third time you create something. And
yeah, it's an important one.
So we've got 1, 2, 3. We did org chart, essentially who's supporting you, the spiral type revenue model with more things that people don't necessarily do but should.
Yeah. Well, I'll say the boring one first, and then we'll get to actually my favorite one.
Yes.
So the boring one I call proper process and project planning. And because what I've found is that when people are first starting out and well into the six figures, typically they have modest sized teams, like maybe 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, whatever. And they'll have a team of generalists, like people that are doing multiple things, right? Which is necessary. I'm not saying that's a mistake. You have to do that in the beginning. However, once you try to grow the team, one thing that makes it so much easier, like many, 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 many magnitudes easier, is when the way that you document and actually do the functions in your business are systemized. Like they're all the same. Everything's got like a templated approach. As an example, with your projects. Now, I have a really great project planning technique that I teach. It happens to be my favorite, but there's lots of different ways. I'm not attached to whether or not people use my way. What I'm attached to is whatever way they do it, that they keep it exactly the same for each and every project that they do in their business. Mm-hmm. And because as you try to grow, that's critically important, because inevitably you're going to have people filling multiple roles in your organization, and they're going to be a part of different projects, probably in different departments.
So it's like your recipe, right? It's like your organizational recipe of like, okay, we made bread. I'm going to go back to food, like food metaphors. Yeah. Here's the recipe. Here are the steps. And then anybody who comes into your business is able to duplicate that, knowing the result will be there.
Exactly. But what typically happens, let's say, okay, this is how you make bread. But then when someone goes to make a pizza, the way that they make the dough is completely different from the way they made the bread. Well, that's a huge inefficiency there.
Yeah, because you got to learn new methods and ways of thinking, and you're actually wasting a bunch of valuable time on energy demystifying the new thing. Whereas, like, our brain really likes to anticipate how things are going to go. So when you use that same system, the whole team's on board faster.
Yeah, the net result is to know from the beginning, okay, I'm going to have people filling multiple roles in my organization here. I need to make sure that their time is leveraged. Mm-hmm. If they're working in client care over here and then they go to do something on your marketing team, if the parts that they're doing are the same but they have to do it in a completely different way, well, now there's no leverage in the fact that it's the same person. You want to have some form of leverage there, and the more crossover in the actual functionality, the better. Yeah. And anyway, I understand that's kind of high order thinking or kind of theoretical, but anyway, I teach people how to make sure they implement that in their business. And one of the things I love teaching too, I actually walked people through it in some videos recently, is to make sure that you gamify all of your projects. That makes a huge difference.
I light up because I've always said, if you're going to do it anyway, might as well do it the fun way. Like, why not?
Oh, you know where the leverage is, because if you're doing a big project in your company, it's really easy to get people excited at the beginning because of something new. It's some new initiative. It's exciting. It's fresh. And it's easy to have people really productive at the end because there's this deadline looming. It's like people are scrambling to get this thing done, right? But in the middle time, that's where it's just ripe with inefficiency. But if you can create a game that keeps people focused and having fun and they're trying to win something, it keeps people very productive and focused during the middle part of the project, which just makes the overall result of the project much more efficient and makes it much more likely that you're actually going to meet your goals. Yeah.
It removes the lull that can happen. I'm going to go back to bread. It's like you've done your recipe, you stick it in the oven, then you've got to wait and trust that things are going to go. That's when you should be doing other productive things and just knowing that it's happening. So are there specific types of gamification techniques that work better? Or is it just make it fun?
Well, I have a whole process for it. I teach it in my LEAP program. I can go through the gist of it right now if you want. It's really,
if you have time. I know we're over time here, but if you have time,
nuances to it. But the gist of it, I can say right away. So the first thing is you have to decide, okay, what's the game we're playing here? Which means, like, what's the objective, or what's the thing that we're going to count? So the easiest thing would be, like, if you're doing a campaign, would be to count the number of sales that you're going to make. That would be the easiest, and can get a bit more involved when you're doing things that aren't like totally tangible like that. But and then once you've decided that, the second thing is to be really clear on what are the rules of the game. Because nothing destroys a game like confusion later, or somebody doing something because they think they're trying to achieve one thing and then they realize that it's something else. It just can kill the morale. So that's the one thing you got to watch for. You got to be so clear. And at the very least, what that means is making sure that everyone understands without a shadow of any doubt what the objective is. You have to give a very thorough definition to, like, as an example, if you're counting sales, you have to be very clear on what a sale means. Does it mean if someone books an appointment, does that count? If someone's on a payment plan, is that a sale? Or if someone, does it count as a sale right away, or does it count once you've
received the payment? Yeah.
You got to be really clear on that, because if to the degree that there's confusion later can cause big issues.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then you have to, once you've done that, then you got to determine, okay, how do we win this game? So that means just, okay, so what are the outcomes we're striving for here? How do we win?
Yeah.
And then the last part is to determine what do you win? Yeah, so there's always the biggest lesson I've learned. The biggest lesson I've learned about this is to let the team decide what they win. And I'll say, when I've taught this to entrepreneurs, and with me too, same thing. When I started doing it, it was nervous because most people think that the team is going to come up with something unreasonable. Like they're going to come up with we win a trip to the moon.
Yeah.
What I found in every single case is that what they come up with is much more conservative than what I would have come up with. People tend to be so cautious and what's the word? Like there's a word I'm looking for.
They're like respectful and they're kind.
Yes, that's the word. Mm-hmm. But the advantage of having them come up with the prize is that you don't have to worry about whether they're totally bought in. So of course they are. It was their idea.
Yeah.
Whereas if you come up with the idea, it's maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't, right? So I always have them come up with it. That was a good lesson.
That's awesome. So I'm going to do a super quick wrap up of your 5 points. We said.
Oh, I didn't say the fifth one yet.
Really? Okay. Why did I have 5 here? All right. Let's do it.
There's the org chart, revenue model, metric, process and project planning.
Yeah.
Which gamification is a part of that.
Okay. I split them up. Give me 5. Okay.
Yeah. The last one is what I call a conscious company culture. And here's the thing that we need to understand is that the marketplace and like the trends of how people relate to what they do for a living is different than it used to be. And there's 2 ways that's primarily different. And it's especially true in the transformation space. It's just like somewhat true in other industries, especially true in this one. Firstly, when people are looking for a job, they now understand that they're the one that holds the value, not the other way around. So whereas it used to be commonplace for people to, there's a job, I hope I get it. Okay, put on my best clothing, put my best face forward, put my best resume in, and do my best to prove that I'm the one who should be chosen, even if it's a job they don't even particularly want all that much. Mm-hmm. They'll try to, back in the day, they would try to convince that, no, I'm the right person. Well, now it's like in many cases, it's the opposite. People come into it with the like, well, hey, I know what I can do, but what's the opportunity you have here for me? Like, why would I want this? And so that's the first trend. The second trend is more and more people want to be involved in something. Like even if they're not entrepreneurial by nature, like they don't have that risk tolerance and whatever, they do have the desire to be a part of something that matters. Like they need to feel like they're contributing to something that's much bigger than just their effort.
Yeah.
And so it becomes more and more critically important to be very clear on like what's the why behind what you're doing, what's the mission behind it, and making sure that that's being communicated all of the time and that your team is enrolled into that mission. And ideally, what makes all the difference in a transformation business is if you have a collection of people that feel that it's their mission to support your vision. that, I mean, if you can achieve that in a culture, business becomes very, very easy. Well, at least a lot easier.
Yeah, because they understand what is the legacy your business is trying to create, and every day their mission is to like feel like they're contributing daily to some kind of a legacy. They're doing one part of their puzzle, but they know why, they know who they are in that process. They feel seen, respected, and they give that back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So creating what I call a conscious company culture is a huge part of the LEAP program as well. It's my favorite part. I love, I've loved the process of creating that, or not to say that I'm done. It's a continuous thing that I'm attempting to excel at in our company. And
it's never too early to start. Like no matter where you are, kind of like we were talking about the visioning, you have to create the culture before the company is fully built and created. Like it starts the moment you decide you're going to expand to more impact.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
So I know we've gone way over time. I'm going to do quick wrap up. So it's around your team, your org chart, your spiral revenue model, tracking your metrics, and having a project plan that's consistent, making it fun, gamifying, including your team in the process so they feel super inspired and motivated into the plan, and having the kind of team whose mission is to support your own global company vision. So that creates a gelled team that is ready for multi seven-figure level of impact and income.
You got it. Yeah, I must have explained it properly.
Yes, I score. What do I win? Yeah, no, so I've put up the link, everybody, on the screen if you want to apply for the LEAP application. So today's Sunday. Applications are open till tomorrow. And I know that they might be capped before that if ever you fill your quota of applications too. So just a heads up. And so it's bit.ly/LEAP-now 2017. With She's a Changemaker, I'm offering a bonus where we get to work in person on something called Leap into the Spotlight. It is a retreat where we are building your media ready marketing and doing some interviewing, featuring you on the She's a Changemaker show and all kinds of good stuff. So I'm happy also to stay on, answer any extra questions that come up. Justin, I want to thank you wholeheartedly for,
my pleasure.
And, if there's any other specific thing related to women and change makers, let me know. But in my heart, I think of you as a feminist. So I think that's awesome that we have you on our team.
Oh, I forgot to share one of my big takeaways from the LEAP program. I'll just share this for women that are viewing. In the LEAP, so I launched it for the first time 2 years ago. So I had my first group go through it during that year. And it's mostly women, amazing, powerful, successful women. It was awesome. And one of the big takeaways that I got was that I had an assumption that when it came to this idea of like work-life balance, that women were doing a much better job of it than men. And I learned that that's not true.
So what do? We ladies, are we overworking? Are we staying overwhelmed from your observation?
Well, yeah. What I found is that more so, of course, this is a total generalization, but I found it was more common for the women. I don't know if it's like a motherly thing or what, but they were taking on more of the pressures and anxiety on behalf of their team and their growing company, and working crazy hours, and they were burning out more faster and more often than the men were. They were just doing more, and as opposed to relying on the types of structures that I'm referring to. That was a huge. In hindsight, I'm not sure why I assumed it was the opposite, but it was amazing.
Yeah, and that probably mirrors whatever's going on at home or has, at some point in the woman's life. So it might be
a kind of a detriment in the short and long term that women tend to be better multitaskers. So maybe they try doing that in their business longer before they slow down and, let other people take over kind of thing. I'm not sure, but it was really interesting.
Yeah. And it sounds like, by going through the LEAP and your guidance and the structure, you can unlearn to be that, super multitasker and actually focus on where you shine and lean back.
Exactly.
And trust that,
that's the idea.
We've got you. You can go and do your thing. So awesome. Thank you so much, Justin. And
I'm going to duck off. Okay, I got to get ready for another interview here. Hopefully, I apologize again for the technology. I'm not sure. Hopefully, I can get this figured out in the next 10 minutes.
It happens. It worked out. So have a great next interview, and everybody.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. So I want to thank you all for being here. If you have any questions, if you're live here with me, let me know. I'm here. I'm happy to answer them. I'm not Justin, but I can answer what I can from here. If you have any coaching related questions, I'm also happy to take them right now. I will stay on a little bit longer to answer them. I want to highlight some of the things Justin brought up. I always bring up questions around identity because part of the leap, the transformational leap that happens when you expand into making a multi 6, 7, 8 level of impact and income is that you change as a person. And the ultimate destination as a change maker is not, where you end up. It's really who you become. So while this is a business focused program, I chose to support the program and offer some awesome bonuses. And maybe I can speak to that in a moment because I know Justin and Callan I've worked with them for 3 years, and I personally have experienced the kind of impact they create. And I know that while you work and learn sound structure, they really, really care about you, the person. And so they will hold always the vision of who you're here to be in this lifetime. They kind of remember that for you and then help you take the steps to help you actually expand, actually leap, and be that transformational business owner who has the freedom to choose to be in the practice of coaching and the practice of leading, or simply the business owner who chooses to, take more time off and just work differently. It's normal in a career to expand and grow and shift. And so it's normal in your business too that this is going to happen. There aren't a lot of business programs out there that I've seen that offer this type of support where personal growth and development is really woven into the whole process, but it is a focus on growing your business, scaling your confidence. So I've put up the link to apply. So bit.ly/leap now, and you have to put leap now, all caps, so leap now 2017. Now, what that does when you use that link is it's actually, connecting you to my audience. And I want to talk about what I'm offering. So with She's a Changemaker, I am leading a media and confidence building company, expanding in a few different things. Also have a podcast that's coming up, magazine, and we're featuring all the interviews on TV. And so through our Leap in the Spotlight retreat, what we do is actually bring people on location where I bring you to work with my team of experts. So I work with a film and TV producer who's worked with Hollywood celebrities, like you might know Nicolas Cage, for example, and also a brand photographer who's taken fantastic photos of not just me and some of my clients, but also like David Suzuki, who's a well-known entrepreneur in Canada and many others, and actually create a media portfolio and give you the digital assets that go along with it. So what I've decided to do is for people who are ready for the leap and who not only apply, but actually join the leap, I'm offering a 2-day special Leap into the Spotlight retreat, along with another bonus called the Visionary Visibility Program, where we are giving you basically everything you need on the PR marketing perspective to go and leap into that spotlight with media. I've spoken to Justin one-on-one about this and timed when all this would be happening so that it matches what you would be taking in the leap. So this would be happening in the fall. And it's about a $6,000 bonus, and we get to work quite intimately one-on-one, and it'll be, super, super fun. My intention, kind of like Justin and Callan, is to make this the best investment you've probably ever made in your business. So I want to support you on the PR media confidence perspective. What I do know is when you are expanding your audience, sometimes exactly who you market to shifts. The way you message your work will adjust. So what we do is in an interview context, I will help you to also, tweak and finesse what you are talking about, how you're delivering it, and how to make sure you're ready to have those juicy sound bites, and also think on your feet should an interviewer put you in the hot seat and throw you a curveball. So we have different levels of exercises that are actually very fun to help you do just that. So simply, you can apply for the leap at bit.ly/leapnow2017. Now, just so you know, there is an application fee because they've been receiving a lot of application, and we want to make sure whoever applies is actually ready to do it. It's a refundable fee, so you can apply, you put down your deposit, secure a spot with their team, and you get to speak with them one-on-one. From that place, you'll be invited to consider being in the program or not. They will actually, it's not like a bona fide sales call. They're simply, it's a fit. Think about it as a pre-interview process. Now, when you're screened into the leap, I also know that you're ready for leaping into the spotlight, this retreat. the bonus retreat that I'm offering here is 2 days, and it is on location, a destination location where we are in wine country in a beautiful setting. And so it's really to recharge your batteries, but also really get it all done, all the PR marketing stuff that you might need to help you leap into that spotlight. I do have longer versions of this available, and if you want information about that, you can simply send me a PM through the She's a Changemaker Facebook page, and I'll make sure that you get that information. In the meantime, to wrap up, like, here's what we talked about. We talked about the shift of perspective that has to happen when you're ready to expand and to start to planning your business, transformational business, from the perspective of the person who's already there. So sometimes, I like to say that we have your blue sky vision, but that blue sky is often also your limit, because that's where fears and doubt lie. So what's important is to see your moon vision, that vision that is beyond the fears, beyond the doubts, and start to scale and plan from there. It starts with seeing who's going to be supporting you when you have that maybe that more impactful version of a business. What kind of revenue model, mixed revenue model will you have, where you have an incorporation of strategies that bring clients to you more on autopilot, if you want, where your marketing it's not mysterious. You just know that things are going to be happening in a recurring fashion. And you have a revenue model where it involves you, your time, speaking, leading workshops, and being engaged with your audience, or simply, having a structure for what's called upsells, which I'm pretty sure you're familiar with, where you're actually inviting people into the next level once they've already said yes to something. The third part is around your metrics and measuring your metrics meticulously, which means not avoiding the numbers, not avoiding the facts that are important foundation to your business. And then you've got number 4, which is around the proper project planning and including a gamification level into that. So it makes it fun. If you're going to do it anyway, might as well do it the fun way. And lastly, we've got the conscious company culture. So you're a conscious entrepreneur, you're a conscious business leader. You want to infuse those values, that consciousness into your business and structure the vision of what kind of company you are leading. Doing those kinds of structures and exercises will also transform who you are and how you show up in your business. It will shift your perspective of who's the person who's looking back in the mirror. Is it the practitioner or the transformational business leader? I know it will be the transformational business leader. So over here, I want to just invite you one last time to just click bit.ly/leapnow. And thank you so much for joining Justin and I on Sunday. I know some of you it's the day of rest, but it's also can be the day of growth. So thanks again for being here. I am Anne-Sophie Dumetz, founder of She's a Changemaker, and I host destination retreats for visionary women leaders who are ready to step in their own, media spotlight. And also provide confidence and clarity work around your message and being completely media ready. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you again soon. And I'll just, the link here, bit.ly/leapnow 2017. And be sure to spell leap now in all caps. Otherwise, it might not actually take you to where you need to go. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.